What's going on, everybody? Welcome in. We are back with the OUA playoff preview. We're at the semifinal of the OUA playoffs. It's come quick. Like it just feels like this season has come so fast. I don't know about you, but we have two great matchups to get to today, Wade.
We do, and we are not done yet because the road to the Yates Cup is not quite finished. And we have two matchups, like you said, that are sure to make the fans so happy because our great game of football is going to be on full display. Let's start out in the western half of the province where the West Division final comes down to the Western Mustangs and the Guelph Griffins. Guelph currently ranking second, I believe, in the country in terms of how many sacks they've gotten. Western, meanwhile, is one of the top rated offenses in U Sports.
Yeah, Western is certainly a force to be reckoned with behind the legs of Keon Edwards and Trey Humes. Let's not forget to mention Savon Magne Jones, who has had himself a season, but that dude, Keon Edwards, leads the leads the nation. Yes, the nation, not just the OUA, but the nation in yardage. This dude is a beast. Guelph's gonna have to mind the Western run game all day long. I know they matched up well against the first time around, but this is a different Western team, I think.
And in the first matchup, we saw Jackson White for the Mustangs. Now we'll see Hillocks, who has thrown the ball fantastically in the second half of the season, leading them to be not only the top rushing attack in the country, but one of the nation's top passing attacks as well. I know we've only talked about, it seems, this fantastic ground game and the offensive line and the running backs, but these guys get it done through the air as well. It's going to keep Guelph's defense honest and on their toes. But let's talk about the Guelph offense for a second, because Sean Law and that trio of receivers in Keegan Dix, Keandre Smith, and Clark Barnes, they can do some damage as well.
Yeah, they can. Clark Barnes has 5 touchdowns on the season, 5 receiving touchdowns on the season, I should say. He added another on the return. But Clark Barnes and this crew of Guelph wide receivers might be some of the best in the province with what they can do, the way they can kind of spread the field and stress defenses because they are just speed, speed, speed. That's what you get from outside in. Keandre Smith, great set of hands, really athletic. Clark Barnes, obviously, we know what he can do. And then Keegan Dix as well had himself a day last week.
And on the defensive side for Western, they do not have a lack of leadership with championship experience. I mean, Rory Kelly had his time with Acadia, Kojo Odum, Danny Valenti. Those guys have all been there, done it, and been in the playoffs for a long time. I'm excited for this matchup, but equally as excited for the East Division Finals, where your alma mater, the Ottawa GGs, gets a chance at the Queen's Gales for a second time this year.
Yeah,
Third time, sorry. They get a
third
chance
time.
at them for the third time this year.
Yeah, one in Kingston, one at TD Place. Now the final one for a chance to go to the Yates Cup back at Richardson Stadium. Obviously, Ottawa is going to have to be mindful of Rashid Tucker, right? Like this is not a secret at this point. He had 3 touchdowns last week again, 2 on the ground, 1 in the air. He's been doing this all year. He's up over 100 yards a game rushing average, and I think he's up around a touchdown and a half, averaging a touchdown and a half, 2 touchdowns a game. Like the Queens offense runs through Rashid Tucker, but I'll let you go off on this one because you do need to watch James Keenan because when they ask him to, he has an arm.
And he can run as well. I mean, I predicted last week that they would let James Keenan kind of take control of the game. They tried too early, but realized, we don't really have to. So here, Rashid, let's give you the ball and let you dominate for the game. But it's time, I think. I said it last week, it was time, but they quite frankly didn't need it in that blowout win over the Carleton Ravens. But James Keenan, when he's given control of this offense, he makes the right decisions. His escapability in the pocket because of his mobility is certainly, I mean, there's a couple guys in the OUA that can certainly move, but James Keenan should be mentioned up there with them. He's very slippery as a runner as well. And when he starts throwing the deep ball to guys like Richard Burton, it is definitely a scary sight for defenders.
Yeah, and I just before we start talking about Ottawa, I just want to say something about Keenan here because this kind of reiterates your point and just how effective he is. He is 17th in the nation in passing attempts. 17th in the nation in passing attempts. He doesn't have a whole lot. He's only thrown the ball this year 139 times but he's completing 62% of his passes, and he's thrown 6 touchdown passes this season. Like, and like you were saying about the deep shots to Burton, he's started getting Quamo into the mix as well. Like, this is a good passing offense. They just haven't had to do it a lot this year because their ground game is so good. Now, flip side, Ottawa, equally as good ground game. They have some electric playmakers. Rookie Rodney Estime has looked great this year. On the defensive side of the ball, obviously we know what Kevin Victome does, but how does Ottawa come away with a win in this one?
It's going to come down to Michael Pizzuto and that front seven for the Ottawa GGs. They're going to have to control the line of scrimmage and flip that to the offensive side of the ball. Zach Pelios, Jelly, the rest of the offensive linemen, they have to do the same, because if they can control the line of scrimmage in this game, it'll allow them to run the ball with JP Simonkinda, Dawson O'Day, their formidable running combination. And also on the defensive side, they need to take the ball away from Rashid Tucker. Just force them to beat you some other way. It's been a tall task for many OUA teams this year, but hopefully they can try and do it in their third match.
And getting it done offensively is going to be a challenge for these Ottawa GGs. This Queens defense has been incredible throughout the OUA season. Guys like Anthony Federico getting in the mix. Nolan Bedard has been strong on the back end all season. They have good defensive play and they get good front end pressure. How do you kind of stress this Queens defense and be productive if you're the GGs?
I think you have to try and honestly just keep a balanced attack, because if you let them start teeing off, you'll get Anthony Federico, one of the Carabin brothers, coming off the edges for you. And if you start to go pass heavy, you'll have Nolan Bedard, Keegan Vanek, Thompson McCallum, and the rest of the DBs teeing off on it, and they will jump routes left, right, and center. So you really have to keep them honest in your game plan. And I know Coach Belfay has played against this team twice. He used to coach at Queens, but it is up to him to allow Ben Miracle to run the ball as well as pass. Like, I would love to see him get up around 12 carries in this game.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I mean, that's kind of what it comes down to, right? Execution. Everybody knows. We were talking about this already with Western, but same goes for Queens, I guess, this year. You know they're going to run the ball. You know Rashid Tucker is going to be handed the rock. That's not a secret. It just comes down to defensive execution. Can you stop it? And what are you going to do to stop it? So it'll be a fun game. I'm really excited for both these games. We should say this though, should Queens get a win this weekend, they will host the Yates Cup. Should Western get a win and Queens loses, they will host the Yates Cup. And then from there, obviously, the next highest seed, whoever wins, if it's not Queens, will be hosting the Yates.
And we will be there, hopefully, all permitting. We will be there live on location as a team with CFP. If you want to catch these games this weekend, there are tickets available. Go to the either Western website or Queens website to get tickets. If you can't make it to the field, you might as well watch it on OUA.tv. Free to sign up. All games live and on demand. If you want to go back and catch out how these teams fared in their first playoff games, you can do that too. So go ahead and check out OUA.tv.
And that's it. That wraps it up. You can catch us at CF Perspective, at Wade Zank, at Connor O'Neill. Like Wade said, we will hopefully be there. We will hopefully be there if all things go smoothly at the Yates Cup. So until then, you can catch us. On CF Perspective.